the jiva has consciousness which is similar to the Lord's. The Lord's is supreme consciousness, however, and one should not claim that the jiva, the living entity, is also supremely conscious. The living entity cannot be supremely conscious at any stage of his perfection, and the theory that he can be so is a misleading theory. Conscious he may be, but he is not perfectly or supremely conscious. The distinction between the Jiva and the Ishvara will be explained in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is Kshetragya, conscious, as is the living being. But the living being is conscious of his particular body, whereas the Lord is conscious of all bodies. Because he lives in the heart of every living being, he is conscious of the psychic movements of the particular jivas. We should not forget this. It is also explained that the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is living in everyone's heart as Ishvara, as the controller, and that he is giving directions for the living entity to act as he desires. The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes a determination to act to act in a certain way, and then he is entangled in the actions and reactions of his own karma. After giving up one type of body, he enters another type of body as we take off and put on clothes. As the soul thus migrates, he suffers the actions and reactions of his past activities. These activities can be changed when the living entity is in the mode of goodness, insanity, and understands what sort of activities he should adopt. If he does so, then all the actions and reactions of his past activities can be changed. Consequently, karma is not eternal. Therefore, we stated that of the five items, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, time, and karma, four are eternal, whereas karma is not eternal. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, so what is Prabhupada mentioning here? The position of Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. Ishvara, as we have already discussed in last few paragraphs, it means the word Ishvara means controller, and Krishna, or the Supreme Lord, is the supreme controller. So the jivas are living entities. We are all parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. So qualitatively, we are the same, just like fire and a spark of fire. Those a big fire and a spark of fire both have the same quality. If the small spark of fire falls on our skin, it will burn our skin, and so does the a bigger fire. But quantitatively, there's difference. So both the living entity and material nature is explained as Prakriti, the energy of the Supreme Lord. But one of the two, the Jiva, is conscious. The other, Prakriti, is not conscious. So material nature, the in the where is that? At many places in in Prabhupada's books also, he mentions sometimes that at some places he mentions the energy of the Lord can be categorized into three, where the living entities are put into the section of marginal energy. At other places he mentions it's categorized into two, and the living entities are counted under the spiritual energy. So material energy is like different. And in the 7th chapter also, Krishna mentions that there's this material energy, but beyond that there's a superior energy of mind who is actually exploiting this material energy, and that is the living entity. Living entity, without the living entities, the whole material creation is like dead matter, like it's there's no motion, there's nothing happening. So when the living entities are existing, then they use the five elements in this material nature for different purposes, and therefore the material nature is set into kind of active. um, so the out of the two, the jivatma, they are conscious, and the other prakriti is not conscious. That is the difference. Therefore the jiva prakriti is called superior because the jiva has consciousness which is similar to that of the lords. And as it said, parts and parcels means the Lord is Sachidananda, similar the living entities are also Sachidananda. The Lord is supreme consciousness, however, and one should not claim that the Jiva, the living entity, is also supremely conscious. Living entity cannot be supremely conscious, and a theory that he can be so is misleading. So basically, the Mayavadis, the impersonalists, they may say that with liberation, we become one with Supreme. So there is no such concept. It's a misleading thing. So, like if you have a machine and you have small boats, some small what do you say, parts of the machine, like some screw or something like that. So you cannot say that screw is equal to the machine. No, the screw is just a part of the machine. Without, if the screw falls apart from the machine, the screw is useless. Just like it's falling on the on the floor, means you just put it in, take it and throw it away. It's useless without being connected to the machines. Similar, the living entities. If you're not connected with the Lord, we are pretty much in a bad state. So. I was remembering Prabhupada mentioning something in this regard. Yes, so he was mentioning, you may say that okay, this is my body. Somebody else may say this is their body. I can say this is my body or this is my kshetra. But the Supreme Lord can claims that he is the master of all these bodies, your body, my body, and everything. And he was mentioning that therefore our body actually belongs to Krishna. He is the actual owner of the body. So we should do our activities with the body should be such that it is pleasing to the Lord. So why this came into my mind is, as it is mentioned here, the Lord is supreme consciousness, whereas I mean, one should not claim that a jiva living entity is also supremely conscious. So we have our limited fields, but the Lord, He is actually everything is like under Him. This distinction between the jiva and Ishvara will be explained 13th chapter. So here in the introduction, as we know, Papa is just giving a glimpse of what we are going to discuss in the Bhagavad Gita chapters. Briefly, he just mentions in this introduction part. The Lord is Kshetragya, conscious as is a living being. The living being is conscious of his particular body, whereas the Lord is conscious of all bodies. So yeah, this is what Prabhupada was mentioning in that lecture. Because he lives in the heart of every living being, as Paramatma, he is conscious of the psychic. So everything, whatever we are thinking, whatever we may be, everything is known to the Lord. He is conscious of psychic movements of the particular jivas. We should not forget this. It is also explained that the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of God, is living in everyone's heart as Ishvara, as a controller, and that is giving directions for the living entity to act as it desires. This is again the what is mentioned as Chaitya Guru. So the Lord is always guiding us from within, because we cannot do anything unless being guided or sanctioned by the Lord. So he's guiding in different ways, as Chaitya Guru, and when he sees the seriousness of a living entity for spiritual um, towards self-realization, then that same Supreme Lord manifests externally as the spiritual master. The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes the determination to act in a certain way, and then he's entangled in the actions and reactions of his own karma. So, yeah, in this material world, everyone is actually entangled by, in order to do one thing. Okay. So in this material world, everybody is actually bound by. First of all, it begins with one's own desires. As per one's desires, one gets entangled into actions and reactions. After giving up one type of body, he enters another type of body as we take off and put on clothes. So this is again explained in detail in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. As the soul thus migrates, he suffers the actions reactions of his past activities. These activities can be changed when the living entity is in the mode of goodness and sanity and understands what sort of activities they should adopt. So, as it is said, what is that? Um, what you sow, so you reap, or something like that. Like if you put seeds of mango tree in the soil, if you put then over a period of time you will see um, no mango tree growing from that place. You will not see some other tree, banyan tree or some tree. No, whatever seeds you sow, similar type of reaction we get. So whatever bad or good actions we have done in our previous lifetimes or in this lifetime, so we will get results, we will get the similar results. Results could be in the form of punishments or something bad, like bad health or something like that, or it could be a kind of um, something good, like somebody becomes very rich or somebody becomes very prosperous and so on. These activities can be changed when the living entity is mode of goodness. And also it's mentioned that specifically when it comes to Krishna consciousness, when one claps during kirtan, we clap our hands, isn't it? So when we clap our hands in the kirtan, all our fate is like changed. All there are different lines in the hand, so everything becomes changed, everything gets changed. Why? Because then one the more one becomes actually a devotee, the more one is under the direct protection of the Lord. So there is no effect of graha nakshatra and all these things which are under Krishna. If he does so, all the actions reactions, his past activities can be changed, and that's why karma is actually not eternal. It can be changed. Therefore we stated that of the 5 items, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, time and karma, 4 are eternal, whereas karma is not eternal. Now in the material world there is astrology and all these things. Generally people go to the astrologer if there is some problem, and they are able to predict something like that. Then they will suggest to do xyz puja or havan or something. But that actually doesn't change the fate practically, but it is to satisfy a certain graha or whatever. It just that if you are supposed to um, um, fail your exams in if in xyz in this year, for example, if somebody is giving exam in this year, and as per some astrologer who she is going to fail exam in this year, so you do some xyz yagya or something, so all the graha and all will be counteracted. So one may do and may pass the exam, but probably maybe after 1 2 years or something, they may fail in certain other phase of exam or something in their job or something like that. So just like it's postponed or something, but the reaction one is supposed to get, one will get. So one can be just cautious or whatever. But when it comes to Krishna consciousness, if Krishna desire, if I'm supposed to, if one is supposed to, just like in Prabhupada's case, um, when he was in America, um, in which year I don't remember, but one time his health was very bad and practically it was detected to be heart attack actually. And Prabhupada say, I think it's mentioned in Prabhupada Lilamrita, that that was the point he was supposed to, go back. But Krishna gave him some extra time so that, the movement, because the movement had to be spread more. So he was given some extra time, like that, something like that. So practically, if Krishna wants, he can change all one's fate and so on. So that was the point. Okay, so we'll cover this paragraph also. I just read and we'll just go to line by line. The Supreme Conscious Ishvara is similar to the living entity in this way. So, the living entity and the Supreme Lord, there's similarity between them as well as the difference. So, similarity is in terms of quality and difference is in terms of quantity. Both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entities are transcendental. So, the Lord is completely spiritual, and the living entity is also spiritual. They're all spiritual entities. It is not that consciousness is generated by the association of matter. That is a mistaken idea. So the as in Bhagavad Gita also second chapter we'll see in Prabhupada mentioning that the symptom of the presence of the soul in our body is the consciousness. If I pinch you, you will feel that pain, that pinching. Or if a mosquito is biting, will bite you, then you will feel that pain. But if I pinch a dead body, the dead body is not going to react anything because there is no consciousness, because the soul has left that body. So that is a mistaken idea. Okay, what is mistaken idea? As Prabhupada, there's a book based on a conversation between Prabhupada and I think his disciple Satsarup Maharaj, I guess. Life comes from life, where he clearly mentions about how the so-called scientific idea that life comes from matter is not true, um, because no scientist can claim that okay, I take these all ingredients, earth, water, fire, ether and everything of which the body is made, and I create life in my test tube or something. No, it is not possible. So that's a mistaken idea. The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as light reflected through colored glass may appear to be a certain color, but the consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected. So the part is that um, um, when the Lord, now we are in this material world, we are called conditioned souls because we get affected by the material nature, by the three modes of material nature. But when the Lord comes, he comes, he takes different avatars and all. He's not affected. He's completely in his spiritual form. The affected Lord Krishna says Maya Dhikshina Prakriti. When he descends into the material universe, his consciousness is not materially affected. If he were so affected, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matter as it does in the Bhagavad Gita. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. So, if you are drowning in the ocean, no, that's not a good example. If somebody is, yeah, the owl, you know, uh, the owl philosophy, as it is said, the owl is not, it will not open the eyes to see the sun in the daytime. So for the owl, the sun never exists, it's all dark. So um, similarly, if no, I don't know what point I was trying to make. mm, yeah, so practically there's a conditioning for the owl there, uh, but for when it comes to a supreme lord, the supreme lord is not affected by the material nature. He's completely independent. He's completely uh, transcendental to the material nature. I was trying to make some point, but I just missed what I was trying to mm, say with the example of the owl. Anyways, so if he was so affected, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matters as he does in the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, this we saw. So the Lord is not materially affected. Our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially affected. Bhagavad Gita teaches that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. In pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed to the will of the Ishvara. So now presently, when we are trying to practice bhakti, we're just trying to practice bhakti. We are not actually um, devotees yet. Why? Because the definition of devotee itself means, devoted to the Lord. But are we really devoted to the Lord? We are not yet. So we are just in the transition phase from demoniac nature to becoming divine or devotees. So, mm, the Bhagavad Gita teaches that we have to purify this materially contaminated sense. So, we are in the process of purifying our consciousness. In pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed. So, when we are actually devotees or when we are actually pure, all our activities, thoughts, words, deeds in all times, places, and circumstances will be dovetailed to the will of the Lord. Our only concern will be like, what I am thinking, is it pleasing to the Lord? What I am doing, is it pleasing to the Lord? And that will make us happy. It's not that we have to cease all activities, rather, our activities are to be purified, and purified activities are called bhakti. Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities. Somebody may be going to work, college, school, whatever, a devotee, but a common person goes to job to earn money and then spend it in parties and this and that, roam around or something like that. But a devotee goes to office, whatever money he gets, he uses it in a Krishna conscious way. So there is difference. The activity seems to be same from external point of view, that both are going to the office and working, but how they are using the results, with what consciousness they are working, that is different. Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities. Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. An ignorant person may see that a devotee is acting or working like an ordinary man, but such a person with a poor fund of knowledge doesn't know that the activities of devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter. They are transcendental to the three modes of nature. We should know, however, that at this point our consciousness is contaminated. So we should understand that we are in a very neophyte state at present. We are contaminated. So by beginning, like we have at least made that attempt and have begun this process of Krishna consciousness. So we have started the process of cleansing our consciousness. So um, if we continue practicing bhakti seriously, then gradually the consciousness will become purer and purer. Okay, with this I will stop. It's already 4:30. So if anybody has any points you would like to add, please feel free to do so. And apart from that, kindly share at least one point from what we discussed today. Who is going to be first one to do that? If you are not able to speak, you can also put it in the chat box.
Hare Krishna Mataji. If nobody is there, shall I ask for this?
Yes, but yeah, after Shraddha Mataji, everybody can, line up. We should be very, as Guru Mata always encourages everybody to speak up. So we should take this as a practice platform to practice, so that at some point of time when you get a chance, you can speak to someone about Krishna consciousness and help them, or a new person or someone. uh, so yes, Shraddha Mataji, you can go ahead.
Mataji, we were mentioning about, like, this is fact that devotees line, like when we clap in kirtan, the lines they get changed, or it generally also when to the extent one takes to Krishna consciousness, the, like, it gets changed. So, but I heard from one other like, my aunt. She says that okay, my lines also get changed. Everybody lines as they grow, they get changed. So my question is like, uh, change. There may be change in both cases, but one who is in Krishna consciousness, they are directly under the care of the Lord, but the other one, they may change according to the stars or the planets, isn't it? Is it so?
Yeah, the change, practically I do not know about the actually lines getting changed, but what it meant was that actually one's fate, as soon as one is leaving one's body, it's already determined what kind of body they are going to get, and what are all the karmic activities they are going to go through, going to everything is determined. Nothing is going to happen, a little bit here and there. Now, the free will of that living entity is that in those all that phase of life, what are their activities, what is their consciousness, that determines our further reactions. So if somebody is supposed to steal money and somehow he gets a little consciousness that some good advice or something, and he doesn't do so, so practically his karmic reaction earlier, if he would have stolen the money, was he would have been caught by the police. Now he didn't do so, so he was saved from being caught by the police because he was not the culprit, or so it is again, uh, like all is related to one's karmic actions and reactions. But when it comes to Krishna consciousness, yes, as you mentioned, one comes under the direct jurisdiction of the Lord. So it's again the same example. If you're working in a company and you know the owner of the company, then you have practical access to to the owner directly, and you need not worry about all the politics happening in the office. So yes.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pratitna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji, I have a question. In this regarding, I can summarize this, but first I should ask question.
Yes, either thing is okay.
Mataji, when the devotees, friends who are new, they ask that how do we get to know that who is our Diksha Guru? like who is a spiritual master, their spiritual master. So how to answer that question? Because Krishna, Shla Gurudev mentions that Krishna chooses a spiritual master, but also and also it is that somewhere the people, when they hear from the bona fide spiritual master, then they come in contact with, and then they associate, and then they get with their spiritual master. Or it may also happen that in the last birth also somebody had the spiritual master, and the diksha guru is always the same, he's like a father. So their spiritual master Krishna will arrange. So how to answer this question, that who is your spiritual master?
Actually, when one is sincerely seeking a spiritual master, um, Krishna is present as Paramatma, so he makes all arrangement that one can come to in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, and it will be revealed to them that yes, here is one I should take shelter of. So practically, one has to be sincerely begging Krishna, that I about regarding that, okay, I want to actually surrender to a bona fide spiritual master. And if we see real life examples, are different ways one comes in contact with spiritual master. It could be, as Gurudev mentions in his case, he didn't meet Prabhupada personally, but it was through his disciples saying, um, just like as he mentioned, no? When he was cleaning the floor rug or something, and the Govindam prayers, no, Samsara Dava was being played in the recording or something, and he could actually feel that love, the disciples with the love with which the disciples were singing for the spiritual master. That's how he was moved and decided that, okay, I must also become a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So uh, it could be by being inspired by some devotee. It could be other ways is one. Sometimes one may have already come in contact with a spiritual master, hearing from them, and still not being able to relate that, okay, I'm already in contact with the spiritual master, so why not I surrender? So it could be different ways one can the Lord can reveal one spiritual master. Basically, the thing is, we have to see that who is actually um, inspiring me the most, uh, that I can fully surrender to him. That, okay, here is one who can actually get me out of my um, nonsensical attitude, and can take me back to Godhead. So and that revelation may come in different ways for every individual. So one should be just sincerely praying to Krishna to reveal the spiritual master to them.
Thank you, Mataji. And Mataji, like every temple has a every center has under a specific spiritual master. Center is temple center is there. So the first preference is given to the. I'm asking this question. The first preference is given to the spiritual master who is to the guru whose center is the temple. So, if is it not that they can take from anyone, or is it that first preferences should be given because center is there, so like that?
There is nothing like that. There is no question of preference or anything. It's a wrong idea practically. It is not related at all to what's mentioned in scriptures. It is not that if a particular center comes under particular GBC or a particular journal head or something, one has to take initiation from them. But basically, practically, if you see, that is being canvassed in different centers, but that is not the case. um, I can tell you, many in many temples we see that there are disciples of so many spiritual masters, and practically um, there was a case long back also. Was it? I do not know which place was that. So there was someone who was actually, as you know, most of the people get connected to Gurudev through the Ultimate Self-Realization course. So someone was connected like that, and he was actually aspiring from Gurudev. But um, the local temple, they some raised an objection or something, that no, you cannot take initiation from someone else. You have to take initiation from the spiritual master who is the local head or something like that. So, and this is communicated to Gurudev also. So Gurudev, because Prabhupada would, earlier would say that you should follow the temple president like that. It's of course out of we should understand if the temple president is representing Prabhupada's teachings rightly or not. So Gurudev said to that devotee that okay, you follow what the temple authorities are saying and you can take initiation from someone else. After 6 months or some months, he practically wrote back to Gurudev that you asked me to take initiation from someone else to change my guru, but practically my Krishna consciousness is completely devastated because I was inspired to take, because practically he was, it was a devastating situation for him. It's like if one is going to get married to someone and that marriage breaks, so one has practically given that heart and soul, or already they have some emotional attachment, whatever. Now changing that to another person might be a very devastating situation for someone. It's a mundane example, just a mundane example. So for that devotee also, he mentioned it to Gurudev that okay, I'm not able to practice my Krishna consciousness because I was practically inspired from you. I wanted to take initiation. Now you asked me to go to some other spiritual master, but I'm not able to do. So this was again communicated by Gurudev to the GBCO head in his, in America over there. So so the his GBC there mentioned to Gurudev that anyone from any part of the world, they can aspire to take initiation from any of the spiritual masters. There's no limitation. If he wants to take initiation from you, no one can stop him from that. That is GBC rule. So then this thing was solved. So there's no such rule uh, that one has to. Yeah, sometimes we may face question that okay, why do you want to take initiation from someone else when why don't you take initiation from this spiritual master who is present here? You can practically associate with him, you can hear his classes here face to face. But we should understand now how much, first of all we have to see that how much we are accessible. I mean the someone is accessible in the sense we shouldn't be like okay, I wanted to take initiation from XYZ spiritual master, but oh, all in my friends and all, they are taking initiation from this spiritual master, so let me also change to this spiritual master and I also will go along with my friends. So that means what, I was never devoted to the spiritual master practically. It's just like okay, if not this, then after initiation also, oh, I don't like these instructions of the spiritual master, let me change to some other spiritual master. That means practically we are not at all Krishna conscious. So there's a nice story regarding someone. Okay, there was something in relation to it, how some one of the acharya, he was so dedicated that I will take initiation from this spiritual master only. Something I don't remember, I had heard it from Amog Lila Prabhu in one video. I do not remember, but it was very nice and relevant here. If I get it, I'll tell sometime. So there is no such rule. One can aspire to take initiation from anyone, from any part of the world, because we should understand this relation between spiritual master and disciple is not on physical presence only. It's actually the Vani, because during Prabhupada's time there were so many disciples he initiated, thousands and thousands. But after Prabhupada left, practically, you know, ISKCON was in such a, it went through such a bad phase, because so many devotees, so many disciples practically left ISKCON. Whereas Prabhupada mentioned that you never leave ISKCON. ISKCON is my, like my body or something like that. So they left. So one maybe physically be there with the spiritual master, but one has to connect with the Vani. Otherwise, at some point of time, one may also give up, um, the movement or so on. So it's basically how much one is connecting to the instructions of spiritual master is what matters. Because spiritual master is not going to stay with us all the while, anyways. He'll go somewhere to preaching, or he may go to another planet or somewhere, whatever Krishna desires for him. So we have to be still connected. Just like many of Prabhupada's disciples, Prabhupada has left this world in one sense long back, but still they're all uh, following Prabhupada's instructions so rigidly, so strictly. How is it possible? Because they are always connected to the spiritual master. They are always connected with Prabhupada. So, yes.
Yes, Mataji. So if like someone asks me that you don't like if to if when someone wants to join or hear lecture of Srila Gurudev, so I should give the link and tell, because if someone has said me no to uh, preach,
Um,
like.
Probably you can ask me on WhatsApp in an open way.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
And Mataji, to connect with spiritual master, we have to listen lectures, etc. That only will help, no?
Yeah, we have access via emails and all also, and lectures, specifically live lectures, we can directly speak, ask our questions and all. So that is more connecting, and there are recorded lectures as well.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay, Anisha Mataji, one point discussed is both the living entity and the material nature come under the Prakriti. However, being conscious, the living entity is considered superior. Yes, so both of them are actually energy of the Lord. Um, but the living entity is conscious. Living entities are conscious, so they are considered superior, whereas the material part of the material nature is not. Hmm. So yes, thank you Mataji for sharing, for highlighting that point. Okay, so who else? Pramila Mataji and Anjali Mataji. Either you can speak or you can type in the chat box. I'm not going to accept this answer more anymore, Mataji's. That there is no point, because we have heard something. If not directly related to today's discussion, something we must have heard. So at least by repeating that, we are at least making it sure that we are remembering something, some point. And when we speak it, when we tell it to someone, it becomes more deeply engraved in our own heart, that we'll remember it. So I'm not going to accept this answer from further. I mean, I hope it is taken in a positive way, not that everybody stops joining, but it is good for us. Okay, Anjali Mataji, do you have anything? to say? Any point to share? Okay, so I think then we can close for now. Mm, Tomorrow we'll continue from the next paragraph. Introduction is pretty long, so it will take few days, quite some days to complete the introduction, and then we can go to the other chapters and all. And thank you so much, Matajis, for joining and for all your association. And this month we have Ram Navami at the end of this month, almost end of this month. So probably this time we missed to discuss about to meditate on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before the God Purnima, but we'll try to make sure that we um, discuss or meditate about Lord Ram and his pastimes before Ram Navami. Sometime we'll do that. So with this I'll stop here. Thank you so much, Matajis. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Matajis, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.